Yeah, congratulations on the recent launch. I think something that would be really helpful is kind of talking a little bit about, introducing yourself, but also introducing Renavest to our listeners and what it does.
Absolutely. So, my name is Stanley Rameau, founder and CEO of Renavest. So, just a quick 1 minute liner, or maybe a couple minutes. Renavest is a marketplace for online communities focusing on teaching financial literacy, investing, and building businesses. So you can kind of view it as the app store for chat rooms or online communities. To get more specific, online communities like your Telegram, Discord, Slack, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. And so ideally, the reason I came about it, I started day trading probably like many individuals in 2020, that whole wave of GMC, AMC. Ironically, I didn't make money off of those two stocks, which is bittersweet, but I did learn how to invest by joining in these different communities um, in which, like on your Discord, on the Slack specifically, where I learned how to trade options, learned how to trade penny. Yeah, but I was around in all those different conversations, but I did learn how to trade, penny stocks, options. But I did it within a community, and so, you know, growing up, I didn't like my mom immigrated from Haiti, worked three jobs. My father did as well, worked, and so I was taught how to work hard, but financial literacy wasn't necessarily taught in the household just because we didn't really know. And growing up, there wasn't a lot of resources, very apparent, or very accessible to be able to navigate that. Went to business school, Bentley University. Shout out to Bentley, but been to the trading room probably like 5 times in my hand. I can count on my hands, right, for 4 years. And so when 2020 hit, obviously rough patch, and a rough year in general, but on the silver lining was, there was opportunity to make money because of how low the stocks were. So I
Right.
started teaching myself, going on Google, YouTube, watching different influencers on learning how to day trade. I started, long-term investments specifically, but ended up falling into different apps like StockTwist. And then from StockTwist, learned that there were different communities on like your Discords or your Slacks or Telegram in which individuals could be, 10 individuals, 100 members, over 1,000, 5,000, where individuals were trading in groups. And so that's how I ended up learning from those folks who had, 10, 15 years worth of experience. And, typically you pay to join these communities, but the
You
goal
pay?
ultimately, yeah. So pay like either some of them were free, some of them were like $20 a month,
Okay.
paid $50 a month, paid probably the highest I paid was probably like $75 a month. So
Jeez.
these are individuals like, they're making money in the stock market, but then also making money, in these community groups.
Right.
But,
Where are they making their real money? In the stock market or in the community groups?
right, like when I did when I added it up, depending on how many members, um, goodness, both. So, some like really great traders, they would be able to make like, $2,000 a day up to like, 10,000. And so, that summer when, a lot of stocks, were low and really volatile, was able to make, upward to 30,000, by the end of the year, just by being in these groups, following their trades, but then also like, seeing the positions of, areas of opportunities in which was able to jump in and so forth. So, learned a lot. And I think more than the financial gain from it was just a mental transition I ended up starting to have as far as, what financial freedom looked like, the areas of opportunity in which I wanted to like start diversifying, my different portfolios and,
Right.
even getting more responsible with money. And, from there, that spurred that areas of opportunity, but spurred the idea of Renavest because I did have frustrations on from jumping from app to app, to be able to jump in these conversations. So that was annoying. I also, there was, when you have 1,000 individuals talking in the chat room, like, it could be great, but then a lot of it can be a lot of noise too. So it's like, I
Yeah.
really don't want to hear like 800 of you guys. Or I really don't want to hear like 90%. So, with Renavest, the main goal is to make it a lot more accessible to find your community wherever they stay, but then also help filtering out and eliminating the noise. In that way, you can be able to get to your curated information, a lot quicker. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's what, and then also, definitely creating more opportunities for people of color to be able to find these, different groups in these communities. When I was investing, there wasn't a lot of people of color in these groups, and so, growing up, all of my buddies, we had good jobs and so forth, but none of us really invested. Like 2020 was the first time we all invested in stock, and I created like a one sheet on how to day trade, sent it to like 5 people, and I got requests by 50 individuals. So the demand is obviously there. Individuals want to learn how to expand on their financial wellness and their
Right.
awareness. And so yeah, and that's what we're doing with Renavest, making that much more accessible. The difference
Cool.
between my story is like I focused on investing in stocks specifically, but Renavest is a platform where you can find your community, whether you're focused on real estate investing, budgeting and saving, even like, startup crowdfunding. So whatever financial freedom looks like to you and you're trying to find a community to help you accomplish that, you come on Renavest and, find that group.
Right. Okay. I have some questions about the product specifically, but I definitely want to hit a little bit on your background first.
Mhm.
So non-technical founder making a technical product. What did
Yeah.
you do before this? And
Yeah.
what is the makeup of, how did this turn into a team now that's, helping support you and your vision? So,
Yeah, for sure. So I went to business school, graduated a marketing degree. My first job out was working at Sunlight Financial, doing inside sales. So majority of my background's in sales. So I went from Sunlight Financial to Car Gurus. Car Gurus was their pre-IPO, after IPO. So I was able to get the startup field, transition into a more corporate type of feel, but did business development rep, and then account executive, and then dealer relations account specialist. So all relating towards focus on direct sales and retention, and then did sales and also account management at Constant Contact. So was able to get different industries of experience from a sales perspective, and I think that prepared me to get into entrepreneurship, just because
yeah.
you're building a book of business, which is building it from ground up, or having to deal with a lot of no's every single day, growing that tough skin. So did that from on the corporate perspective, but my entrepreneur experience prior was fashion design, creative design. So I worked with my sister-in-law on her fashion brand for about 4 or 5 years. And so we grew that in Boston. She has like a boutique out here in the
Cool.
city, out in Somerville. And then I started my own fashion brand in 2019. So I've been running that for a couple of years. So yeah, while I was working at a company, was also working on a business, and ultimately, that I knew the end goal was to, really be running my own platform or my
Right.
own brand or whatever that, actually looked like. So.
Right. Okay. Very cool. So you get the idea, right? You're at some point in 2020, it sounds like. What are the first steps you take? How do you get people involved to help you out build this? How do you build it? Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So first individuals on that I wanted to bring on my team was members that was already on my fashion brand. And so when I came up about the idea of Renavest, really wanted to figure out, okay, who can be able to, help build this out. I went through, and it's difficult finding like the right, right hand person from who can actually build a product, especially being a non-technical
Right. It's
individual.
super hard because you don't know you think the problem is you can't even evaluate, so you don't even know how quickly someone's moving, if they're moving at all, because you have no fucking idea, what's going
Yeah,
on. Yeah.
exactly. So had one experience that didn't work out. So ended up my first individual I brought on the team that created so much value. Ended up bringing her on the team around March of 2022, and so she's a designer at Etsy, but she also had experience at Compass. MailChimp, Wayfair. And so I had her, one of my founder friends actually was just like, instead of, building out a product, outright, even if it's like a website or app or so forth, get a designer who can be able to build up, some mock designs, some wireframes. That way you can be able to, show the app and then get that validation prior.
Right.
So I mean, she's like a star designer, super talented, and really, and especially, you're probably familiar, like when you first think about your idea, you're like fumbling over your words, you barely know the
Yeah.
solution that you're trying to push out. And it's really, individuals buy in if you're able to, tell your story, but also tell it efficiently and, kind of tell it quickly, in which they automatically understand what you're doing. And
Right.
so my first few conversations, the first 3 months was really difficult trying to explain what Renavest was. And I just going on and on, long-winded, sentences trying to explain it. But being able to have her create the designs of Renavest and be able to actually show via demo and walk individuals through it was just a huge game changer.
Makes things
And so,
clear.
absolutely. And, most individuals are visual.
Hmm.
And so that was like my first, real individual that I brought on the team that really moved helped move the needle. Second was head of user acquisition, and head of user experience. So she helps. Her name is Berlinda. She helps with everything customer focused and being able to drive traffic now that the app is launched onto Renavest. But she's actually like my younger cousin, and so we kind of have. And a lot of people don't know that. I try to not mention that just
Right.
because, like, I want her to have her own story and be able to create her own presence. And we've been able to do that for her, as well as I'm building my own presence. But she's been amazing. She's kind of like another version of me. Her background's in sales, just in security sales. So she's kind of going up the that same type of process. So we both think very similarly. She has tough skin. She has like a huge motor. So she's been amazing in regards to, making things happen. And so the designer, I actually knew her for like 7 years, but I've always seen her process of developing in her particular career and felt like there was an opportunity in which we could work together. Next is my head of product, who I met at Boston Startup Week. So shout out to Boston Startup Week. Really great thing that they have going on. So excited. I'm actually going to be moderating a panel for the upcoming one.
When is that one?
September.
Okay.
But my particular panel, not exactly sure. Still got some time, but
All right.
it's usually one of the weeks in September. But met my head of product, Eric, that week, and it was the first day of Boston Startup Week. And panel is done, or the first conversation is done, and everyone just starts walking away. And I'm like, is anyone going to network, or are we not doing that? So I said it out loud. And then he was like, hey, I'll talk to you. And so from there, we kind of hit it off. And
That's the
um,
entire point of going to these things too,
yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
like do the work.
Right. Exactly. And so we ended up reconnecting in November after we exchanged emails, and he started advising, introduced me to another technical advisor who has been awesome. And then that was another thing. So after I had the UI design, I ended up sourcing agency to help build out the app. And thought I found a really good one, and everyone always has a story of thinking that they found a really good agency that outsources, and it just didn't work out. 4 months of kind of like not productive work, and
That's surprising, right? Because like you
yeah,
have you have the front, you have the wireframes. You guys made them in Figma, I'm guessing already, and
yeah,
then like the back end is like an agency should be able to figure it out, right?
yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
mean,
I mean,
that's
you would think. I guess the
it's a
that
classic story though.
particular, yeah, it is. Everyone has their own. And for me, like, it was definitely a learning lesson. So even not being a technical engineer or having a technical background, like I know what it takes to, at least for the most part, how long it should take for an app to be built out. kind of differentiating, a talented designer or one that's like just putting a lot of like languages and on their resume, and just to
Right.
try to, make themselves seem, a lot more, better, a lot better than they actually are. So, but yeah, it was tough because the communication wasn't really there. They wasn't pushing anything to GitHub. My advisors were like, I don't know, Stan, like this seems weird, but they didn't want to get too involved because they're like, it's your company. And then, 4 months in, and they was only building iOS. Eric, my head of product, was just like, I have an engineer who he's worked at our company, that they both were at for like 3 years. I think he's, pretty solid. Like, let's give him a project and see how he does. And he rebuilt the test flight that this other agency was working on in 2 weeks that it took him in like 4 months. And so I was like, this is incredible. And like communication amazing. So everything like completely shifted in the trajectory of
Right.
Renavest during that time, because I was telling everyone like, yeah, we're launching soon, we're launching soon. And then I'm like 2 weeks out, another 2 weeks. And so that standard of like, even when I think we met, I was saying like, I'm launching soon, and it was just in the back end, it was just like, I, you said that we're close to launch. I'm telling individuals, getting them excited, and you're telling me like you're not ready yet, or saying you're almost there. So
Yeah.
tough situation, but yeah, I mean, I think ideally, like the best advice I could give is like, maybe hire slowly, fire quickly. And so, I think I kind of rushed, maybe like spoke to like the first agency I knew because they built an app of a fellow founder. I was like, oh, okay, your app looks, pretty good. So just went with like, the first particular option, and then
Yeah.
just stayed with them and just kept giving them the benefit of the doubt. We also
Right.
launched like our UI designs earlier that September. So it was just like we showed the designs of Renavest, like did this pretty great launch. And so everybody was anticipating. And I think the pressure of like, okay, I need to get this product out, that kind of didn't really help either. So,
You think the
so
pressure was it a negative, had a negative effect on the team?
I mean, it could be self-inflicted, right? Like you
Yeah.
show all these people, um, a product, and they're like, oh, okay, well, how do we get the app on our phone then, right? And so
Right.
ultimately, you're like, you know, we have potential users, individuals are excited, like we need to figure out how we can, actually build this thing. When in reality, individuals know that you're a startup, it takes time, it's difficult, and so as much as we want to like grow quickly or build quickly, I think especially early adopters, supporters, startup ecosystem, they're very understanding in regards to like the process it kind of takes. So better to get it right if you can, but you also, if you're going through different roadblocks, don't get discouraged. Like I've been through two different type of engineer situations that both didn't work out until I landed three strikes. I was able to
Right.
hit.
My
And
my I don't mean to interrupt, but my favorite story is my friend Kevin. I don't know if you know him, Kevin Tang. He has like the toilet seat startup. It's called
mm,
Cleana.
I
But
remember,
he went through 10 co-founders, I think,
oh
before he
gosh,
finally got to his first one. It took him like
yeah,
3 years of just going through co-founders,
yeah, no,
which is
he
crazy.
resilience. Shout
Yeah, that's resilience.
out to Kevin.
But like you got to do it that way. Like that's just like things are gonna look dire. It's gonna look like scary as shit, but like you just got to keep going, and eventually you'll find the right person. I think.
Absolutely. And then eventually, they'll end up finding you if you're not
Uh-huh.
searching too hard, right? And so, um, that situation kind of just fell in our lap, and it ended up working out to be a great one. So,
Right.
we was going to originally launch on iOS. Now we're launching on iOS and Android. So
That's
even
great.
works even better, from that perspective. And so that kind of like that kind of like balances out, because we was going to launch on iOS first and then build out Android with another developer, right?
Right.
And so which would have been costly, double the cost, because have to have someone build out two different particular products. But
For sure.
um, so yeah, so
I think we can let's get into the product a little bit because now
yeah,
I'm
for sure.
curious. I think a couple things that you mentioned, and correct me if I'm wrong, that really distinct this product from other other ways of communicating with people in the investment industry are, one, you said you want to eliminate the noise. So it seems
Mhm.
like there's a lot of people that are in these conversations that are contributing that probably shouldn't. And then two is making it more accessible to people of color, minorities. Um, and then I think there's a couple other ones, right? So I don't know, maybe go through the main value props and then kind of explain like
Yeah,
why this is different than
yeah,
what we've
for
seen.
sure. Like yeah, for sure. So a lot of individuals don't even know that there's communities out there that you can be able to learn from. Like investing is difficult when you're doing it by yourself.
Mhm.
Financial literacy, understanding, the different types, how to get better in those areas is difficult when figuring it by yourself. That's why there's experts and other individuals, subject matter experts who, know how to do it, right? And so, one, if you don't even know that there's communities out there, then that's already one particular issue. If you
Right.
do know that there's communities out there and they're on a Telegram or WhatsApp or Slack, it's very difficult to be able to search those communities on those actual platforms itself. And so you have to kind of be in the know. There's different entry to barriers. You got to be invited with a link. And so with Renavest, we're eliminating or making those two processes a lot easier. Being able to help you find your community, and wherever that particular platform is actually located. And there's a ton of them, right? And so, and then ideally is like individuals who are looking for different particular resources. um, what we do with Renovest is be able to provide more trust and transparency around these communities, right? A lot of them can be scammers, or you're not getting your bang for your buck, especially if you're going to end up paying to join a membership. So we add ratings and reviews, written, going to end up building, video reviews. So now members can actually tell the stories about these different groups that they're actually a part of. So now if you're looking for one, you can be able to get a lot more information about it, instead of before you start, paying to actually, join.
Right.
Um, easier access is from other resources directly. So, in that purchases from a subscription standpoint, that way, those whoever is the moderator or person running the groups don't have to send out content in all of these other different platforms to be able to be
Oh, that's
accessible
interesting.
to their
Okay, so
communities as well.
it's part of the business model is having contributors sell products or subscriptions within. So kind of like a almost like a Substack, but you're taking it one step further by adding like individual products within. So it might be, let me guess, like it's probably like a course or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
courses, particular files to be able to make things easier.
Hmm.
Um, if they want to host like a video conference, making that a lot easier and accessible through the app. So yeah, so all of that good stuff that you would typically find on other different, particular mediums. So really being able to, centralize it on
Okay.
one spot, so it's a lot easier.
Do you want to pull
Yeah,
up some stuff?
for sure.
And I know like, you guys just launched last week, so I'm sure you have like future iterations of the product planned. Probably talking about that as well as like, helpful.
Yeah. So, what I'll show is the art designs, just because I love them very much. But the other aspect is, you know, it'll show exactly the design, show exactly what the app looks like, but it also will show some future features that you can be able to look forward to, and which we talked about and presented.
And
Uh,
people can access the test flight, right? If they want to.
Yeah, so we can send a direct link. So right now we have about 130 users that we're going to be doing just testing with. Then we'll make the link more public, sending it out, getting more users on board. But we just want to be able to get as much customer feedback as possible. That way, we believe that the problem that we're solving with Renovest is the problem that our customers and users believe as well. Um, you know, before we continue scaling and building more things out. So,
Right.
um, but yeah, so as soon as you come on Renavest, you either, going to create your account. And then the first like question is differentiating, why you're here. Are you here to share knowledge because you're a subject matter expert in one of these financial particular wellnesses, or are you here to gain knowledge? And so, so, typical supply and demand, and figure out what your area expertise is. And so it can go from banking, budgeting and savings, stocks, real estate. But if you're a subject matter expert, you select, where you particularly fit in. And if you're someone who's interested in learning in these particular spaces, you're also
Same
able
thing.
to select, what your topic of choices are.
Okay.
In regards to the vetting process, we collect, just general information. So it's a lot easier to be able to know about the particular individual, but we also kind of enhance the level of expertise just because different, expert is very subjective, right? And so, are you someone who is a beginner, consider yourself a beginner, intermediate, or an expert from in one of these particular topics? And then once you fill that out, you're able to set up your community on Renavest, whether that's an existing one. And we're actually going to build our own chat room as well. So if you don't have a community existing somewhere else, you can build your own. And so, so this is an example of what that would look like, choosing existing or creating a Renavest community. And here's where you're able to tell your story, be able to differentiate yourself compared to other platforms or other communities, community name, tagline, what's the purpose. And then here is where you choose your chat platform and then embed your actual link. So if your community is on the Discord, Facebook, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, you select that.
So quick question on
Mhm.
that. Are you linking an existing community outside of Renavest into this?
Yep.
Essentially, how does
Yep.
that work exactly?
So you just grab all these community groups have, whether it's a Discord. So this is like a Discord group for Modern Black Girl. So one of our customers that we onboarded. So
Okay.
you just input that link, and once the profile is actually created, when you click join Discord, it takes you directly to her Discord particular
Oh,
group.
okay. So is there also messaging within app, or it's always
Yeah.
going to pull you out?
So, so yeah, so if we go back here, if you want to create a Renavest chat room specifically, then you can be able to create your own Renavest chat room, that will be, embedded in the Renavest platform.
So hopefully this is a really good way for people who run these community groups to, once the user numbers hit a certain threshold, hopefully it's a good way for them to go acquire new users, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, especially, we're constraining towards financial wellness and awareness. For Modern Black Girl, even though she has her members in which, she can drive her members to Renavest to be able to provide ratings and reviews, or get access to in-app services like either request a meeting, or this will be, other particular services that will embed here, similar to like, when you're on the App Store and it has, different in-app services. But, for her, she might have like 6,000, Discord members. She might want to create a Renavest chat room specifically for like a subgroup, right? And so that's like our way in which we're meeting these community moderators where they're at, but then also creating a lot of value where their users are already, coming to Renavest. Might as well create a Renavest chat room as well. And then that's how, we'll continue keeping, customer acquisition from there. And
Especially if you can sell products.
Exactly.
Right, within the chat room, because you can't do that on a lot of these things. I know Twitter is now like starting like subscription or whatever, but I think that's pretty jank at this point. Discord, I don't think Discord kind of does. A lot of these things are kind of what's it called, siloed. Like you have to sell a product on another page or bring them somewhere else versus just having like an in-app purchase.
Yep, exactly. So, and you'll be able to do that, straight from, your profile, directly. But we also have like, our own, chat posts section in which, the subjects that you are actually interested in, we filter out your feed based off of those particular topics. So if I select, budget and saving, debt relief, or financial advising as an end user, now I can be able to select budget and saving or debt relief, and it'll change my feed based off of those particular interests. But
Hmm.
now this becomes like a lead tool for individuals who are subject matters or run their communities. Because now Kurt, for example, a um, verified chat owner of a Discord, now it can be able to click on here and then lead directly to their Discord profile, in which now they can be able to get new members also that way as well. So
Okay.
those are a couple of things that we're looking to build. Um, we're thinking about micro tipping as far as being able to get paid for your content. If you're both a subject matter expert, but then also somebody who is, looking to learn as well. So as little as 5 cents to, X amount of dollars. So that's another business model that we're thinking about. But eventually, like on our home screen, we'll be able to, based off of that micro tipping, you'll be able to see your top, thought leaders in these different subject matter locations, be viewed, your recommended communities, but then also personalized financial content. So having conversations with companies to be able to, based off of your actual interests, the content that you get on your home feed will be based off of, things that's really important to you. So that's what
Right.
we're thinking about right now, based off of like just general conversations. We've thought about implementing and gamifying a paper trading platform, later on. But these are all just different ideas as far outside of like the discovery and the in-app profile aspect of things. What else can we be building that will be really valuable and in a pain problem solver for our users. And ultimately we're looking to take this month to get that feedback to figure out what is it that
Right.
is really important to build for them.
For sure. I have a few more questions I want to ask you. Well,
Mm-hmm.
one is, I guess, you put this out there. You had some assumptions around what people want. What are, I know you say you're in the early process of talking to users now, but like maybe there's something you're learning very quickly right now. Is there something you hadn't thought about that you're hearing from your users already that you think is important?
Yeah. So, for the end user specifically, it is difficult to find a community. They would want to be able to like learn within a groups. Typically, that's how they do it, anyways. But it's more so like in person, right?
Hmm.
But being able to having a more range of opportunities or groups, is a area of value for them. So they're super excited of, what Renavest will eventually do for them. For individuals who are these particular moderators, that idea of being able to centralize, everything is a huge value prop for them as well, just because they have to, build a lot of content on a bunch of different other platforms. The organization of them being able to have like the proper tools to be able to keep engagement up for their users, something that's always on the back of their head,
Yeah.
especially even the percentage of, members supply moderator has compared to the ones that's actually, engaged is, a big difference in numbers. So, that's something that, we're hoping to, solve for them as well. So,
For sure.
um, so yeah, it's exciting. They're excited about it as well. So,
Yeah. I mean, you're killing it.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
I was going to ask a question around acquiring users. What's like the
Mhm.
method behind that? Because that's got to be something that you're thinking. You want people to use this thing right now. So how are
Yeah.
you guys going about doing that?
Yeah. First level is like building relationships with these moderators who already have existing communities. Um, you know, that ideally they're our customer number one. And so being able to, reach out to these groups and give
Yeah.
them a reason to be able to drive their members to Renavest, you know, approaching supply, being able to, bring on their demand. So we're able to get like a bulk of users, ideally that way. So that's number one, which falls in more towards, again, my background, right? Sales. So being
Yeah.
able to have all these conversations, build these relationships, understand the value, and providing that value. Second is looking to whether we approach it both at the same time or pick one or the other from a testing standpoint. But focus on like virality, word of mouth, engagement, in which We're creating areas of opportunities on the app where individuals are inviting their friends to be able to, come on because they see the value of being able to learn within a group, and hopefully, um, different loops are being able to be created based off of that, or just or going the SEO route in which we're using content, especially content from our members, to be able to drive users to come on to Renavest and so forth. So yeah, within the next couple of months, we'll be testing which
Yeah.
acquisition strategy makes the most sense. But
I have a hunch, and like, I'm
mm,
sure you get a ton of like hunches from people, but I'll give you mine.
love it. All the hunches as possible.
I think that these people who have these online communities on Discord or Reddit or whatever it is have already cracked the code on how to get users to engage with them.
Hmm.
And so I feel like, most of your acquisition strategy probably in the early days is going to be around supply, which
Hmm.
means getting these contributors, these moderators on your platform because they already know how to get users. They provide them really
Right.
good content and these users love them. That's not the problem, right? The problem is like, how do you get the people who bring the people
Right.
onto the app?
Exactly. So we're on this. We're both on the same idea, or like-minded in this, and so that
Okay.
would be the number one. Is like, again, reaching out to the supply individuals and having them, buy in. We're solving problems for them. They're,
Yeah.
being our ambassadors ideally into, driving their members onto Renavest, or being able to help, get new members as well. So,
Right.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely like
Okay.
the main one that we're probably going to be shooting
Cool.
our shot with.
I got two questions left. The first one is what's the business model that you're envisioning? Because there's a couple ways I think you could do this, and
Hmm.
how big is that opportunity?
Yeah, ideally, we'll be testing different business models, but the first one is the in-app purchases. So if moderator or chat owner wants to charge a monthly subscription, we'll get a percentage off of that, 15-20%. So when they make money, we'll make money.
Hmm.
Um, for second one is a SaaS model in which like I mentioned, getting paid for your thoughts. So when individuals are posting content and users want to be able to pay each other from micro tipping, you can be able to get paid that way, or purchase like in that kind of like GIFs, or like we create like a rent a coin or something in which individuals can be able to purchase and then reward one another for the content that they're posting, especially if this content is helping them each other be
Right.
able to, get more knowledgeable on how to be, financially aware and financially literate.
So that's like the
Especially,
Discord Reddit model, kind of, right?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or like a Twitch type of idea,
Hmm.
for sure. Um, And then third is most likely going to be advertising.
Hmm.
It's funny, I was talking to like different individuals in regards to like, maybe you could give your thoughts, but I think advertisement is viewed a lot differently compared to what it used to be. Like I actually like when I get advertisement because it's actually beneficial. And so if we can be able to drive, especially, understanding the topics that individuals are interested in for each user, and being able to, drive advertising, um, have advertising on the app, but that is, beneficial for, our users, then, we'll be able to, everyone ideally wins that way. So that's just a general form of advertising, but similar to Kayak, how they've been redirecting to other platforms from a cost per click type of situation. And so advertising from that perspective as well, until we have like direct integrations with, these particular platforms, being able to get paid if we're sending, a bunch of users to, Discord on a day-to-day basis, or
Right.
Slack and so forth. So,
Okay. Very cool. I don't have a take on advertising, unfortunately. I'm building an app to help people use their phones less, so that wouldn't be my domain. But
gotcha.
what's like, what's the big vision for this? And is there a call to action somewhere people could go, somewhere you want to send them?
Yeah. So big vision is focusing on the financial wellness constraint, or constraining toward that avenue. But individuals are, Renovest, I'm big on storytelling, branding, and we believe Renovest is a rebirth of investing, and that starts with investing in yourself. And so that may look towards, starting off like diversifying like your finances and just getting smarter with it. But eventually you can be able to, once you are better or smarter and more efficient from a financial perspective, you can be able to now invest in yourself in whatever particular industry or topic that makes sense. And ideally, you might want to find your community to be able to grow in that as well. See a guitar behind you. So I know you love music. And so being able to find your community, if it's focusing on certain, within the music industry, or when it comes to particular artists or of some sort, or, health and bio or education. So, everyone is looking to, learn and be able to be financial free, whether it's, financially from your own port, from diversifying your particular portfolio, whether it's real estate investing, but you might just want to be get into a certain industry that you might be passionate and want to find your community that way as well. And so
Right.
and then those communities also exist on Telegram and Discord and Reddit and so forth, and it's still hard to find those particular groups. And so
Yeah.
being able to expand that way as well.
Cool. Anywhere you want to send people?
Yeah, renovestapp.com, our current website. Or you can reach out to me via social media. So Renavest app on Instagram, Renavest app on Twitter. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. So I love having one-on-one conversations, grabbing coffee, if you want to learn more about what we're doing. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, this was a great episode. Thank you, Stanley. You're going to be the first video episode, so congratulations.
Oh,
Um,
nice. I should have probably brushed my hair a little bit more.
me too,
Kind of
me too,
forgot
me
about
too. No,
that.
all good, all good. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and good luck with Renavest.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Take care.